It's that time again. What time is it? It is completed pages time. Today I am sharing with you all of the pages that I colored in September. Let's get into it. The first page that I have to share with you is from Super Cute World, a coloring and creativity book by Jane Madej. I bought this book from Walmart, and I will be sharing with you more about this book and other books that I bought in September in another video. But until then, check out the 2 pages that I colored in this book. This is the page that has this book colored by Evelyn Colors, or this book belongs to. I can't talk right now, but it says this book colored by. Most of the time it says this book belongs to. It kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, I colored this with fine liners, the Stabilo Pen 88. I did not use pencils. I used the fine liners because this illustration is kind of small, and I felt like I would just do better with fine liners, and it turned out pretty good. The next page that I have is also the first page. I kind of like to go in order. Yeah, I know. That's something I need to get out of. But I like to go in order when I am coloring a book, but it doesn't always happen that way or work out that way. But this is the second page that I have, or the official first page. This is colored with Caran d'Ache Pablo colored pencils. I usually spray my colored pencil illustrations that I color with a fixative. So I did that with this. I'm going to zoom in just a tiny amount so you can get a better look at it. But I enjoy coloring this because I'm trying to, work on my skills and improve my skills. And the pencils that I used pretty much helped me do a pretty good job, I think, with this page. So that is all that I colored in this book, Super Cute World. The next couple of pages that I have are from A Million Magical Creatures, illustrated by Lulu Mayo. Both of these pages in this book are buddy colors, and I did a buddy color with Miss Faith Elizabeth. If you don't know who she is, she does coloring, so check her out. The first page that I have is this one. This is the very first page that I colored using my Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils. I have a small set of those pencils, and I was trying to figure out if I wanted to up my number of pencils that I have. I colored this with Caran d'Ache Pablo color pencils, and I also used a gel pen here, Posca pen for the little white dots, if you can see them, Posca pen on the bubbles. And I just enjoyed coloring this. I had a lot of fun because I just was trying to create something. So that is the first page that I have. And the last page in here is this one. I also used Caran d'Ache Pablo colored pencils. And although the frog blue through my camera lens looks a little lighter than it actually is on paper, but that's how it looks. It is a little darker than what you see. My lighting is bumped up a lot, so it's making it appear to be lighter than what it really is. I hope that when I edit this, that you'll be able to see that this isn't as light as it appears to me on camera through my viewfinder. But yeah, this is the picture. I am proud of this picture because I was trying to think outside of the box and use different colors. And my pencils that I have from Caran d'Ache were at the time limited. I still don't have that many of those pencils, but I was working with the colors that I had to work with, and I think that it turned out pretty good. And those are the 2 pages that I colored in A Million Magical Creatures, illustrated by Lulu Mayo. I have another Lulu Mayo coloring book. This is A Million Little Monsters. I colored 2 pages from here. The first page that I have is this one right here. And I finished coloring it on September the 30th, actually. I used Caran d'Ache Pablo colored pencils, and I also used Prismacolor colored pencils. The cool thing about this photo is that I used Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils for this little oven here, this little section, these little sections, everything over here mostly that I'm pointing to, I colored with Caran d'Ache Pablo. Then I got this bright idea to reach for my Prismacolor pencils. For some reason, I'm a little afraid, I guess, or intimidated. Intimidated is a better word. I'm intimidated by Prismacolor color pencils, but you know what? I am so glad that I pulled out the Prismacolor color pencils because the items or the objects, the images, yeah, I'm going to use the word images. The images that I colored with Prismacolor, I am the most proud of. And so most of what I colored with the Prismacolors is all over here and here and here and here. I am most proud of them. Most of this illustration is colored using Prismacolor Premier pencils, and I am most proud of this. Now, let me stop being proud and move on to the next one. Now, this next one that I have is a buddy color that I did with Faith Elizabeth. I don't think we've shared this yet on Instagram. I used the Below Pen 68. I used the Prismacolor colored pencils. And I pretty much use colored pencils here and over in here to kind of give a little bit of depth. And I also used metallic Stabilo pens kind of around on the handle, the bottom of the cup, the trim of the cup, this little plate here. I enjoy coloring this and I thought it was a lot of fun. Those are all of the pages that I colored in A Million Little Monsters by Lulu Mayo. Up next, I have a few pages from Cute Chibi Creature Coloring. It has over 60 adorable creatures by Phoebe M. But I had to look up what chibi means. It means chubby, cute little creatures. This is the book that I use my brand new alcohol markers with. And I was so proud of how both of the pages turned out. So excited. This is the first page in this Cute Chibi Creature Coloring book. And I use my brand new alcohol markers, and I will be talking more about those in another video. I used the Artist Loft alcohol markers. And I also went in with some colored pencils. I used Staedtler colored pencils to give this picture a little bit more depth in here and on the hippo, little chubby hippo, and on the sucker, the cake. I have a little bit of color here to kind of give it a little bit of an appearance of texture. And I did it a little bit around here. But overall, I enjoyed coloring this illustration. I think it is so cute. The next one that I have is this one that I colored using my alcohol markers. And this is how it turned out. Again, I went in with colored pencils, and I don't know how well you can see it, but I used colored pencils around the leaf, kind of toward the edges of the leaves there, a little bit around the ice cubes, darker blue color. Here I used another color of my alcohol marker, and then I used the blender alcohol marker, and I'll show you all of that in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I used the blender marker to kind of blend these colors in here. This is a darker marker here and a lighter marker, and I just went in with my blender marker to make it kind of look like it was something there. I also went around this little honeycomb dropper, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called, okay? but it would be a wooden part where the honey is kind of dripping off. I put a little bit of colored pencil around the edges to kind of make it pop. I did the same with the bees. This is a darker shade of purple or lavender. And those are the 2 pages that I colored in this beautiful, fun coloring book, Cute Chibi Creature Coloring, illustrated by Phoebe I.M. Next, I have 2 pages that I colored from Dots and Cupcakes, designed by Laura Wokow. The first page is this one, and it says at the bottom of the cupcake, Great Adventure. For both of the designs, I use Sharpie permanent markers to fill in the dots. So this is the first one, and this is my second one. And it says at the bottom here, take my money, take my money. Let me go back so you can see this cupcake a little bit better. I felt like I wanted to put a little cherry or a strawberry or something at the top. This is the very first page that I colored. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just going with the flow. It wasn't until I started coloring the second page where I started figuring out what I was doing. This is the one that I was having fun with the most. I used the neon Sharpies up in here. I don't know how well the camera is letting that come through because my lighting is bumped up a lot. I also used metallic Sharpies around the edge because I was thinking of the muffin paper holder, whatever you call it, what you peel off of the cupcake when you're baking them, you pour your batter in. That's what I was looking at this as. I had fun coloring this, but it isn't the type of art or designs that I would pick up all the time to do. I can see myself grabbing this book to de-stress, and I think it is just a way to just de-stress and pop some color on a page, especially if you feel like, hey, I want to color something, but I don't want to have to think too much about it, then this is the book that I would reach for. The Dots and Cupcakes by Laura Wokow. Up next, I have some pages from A Million Kawaii Cuties by Lulu Mayo. I never can get enough of Lulu Mayo's books. The first page that I have is this one. This is a page that I colored with Faith Elizabeth. She is my coloring buddy. I used Castle Arts pastel tints and the zebra doodlers. Here in the center are stars and little pieces of stardust, but this is where I use my doodlers metallic or glitter type of pens on the stars and the little stardust around here. The next page that I have is also a buddy color. I used Prismacolor colored pencils and Stabilo Point 88. We called it the noodle page, and I went overboard with all this yellow. If I had to do it all over again, I would not have colored these noodles yellow. I would have been a little bit more creative, but probably this is one of the first pages or second pages that I colored in any of Lulu Mayo's books. And so I was a little bit intimidated. I didn't know how to color or where to start. And that's how I felt also on this page. And that's why I used the pastel tints when I could have just done what I wanted to do. So I'm getting more comfortable with the books, as you will see as I go along. The first couple of books that I showed you, those pages I colored in them a little bit later on, where I had a little bit more confidence and I kind of knew a little bit more about how I wanted to proceed with the pages. But I didn't really have a clue with either one of these pages. Just wanted to share that tidbit of information with you. The next page that I have is one that I used markers with. You can use markers in her books, but you have to be careful what type of markers you use. The markers that I used here are Crayola Super Tips, and I think it turned out pretty good. And this is also a buddy color. I don't think we've even put this up on Instagram, but we will. The next page that I have is a double spread. And it's funny because it really doesn't go together because I used 2 different types of pencils. On this page, I used Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils. And I have just a small set, so I was pretty much trying to test out some pencils to see which set I would buy the larger set of 120 in. I felt pretty good about this page, coloring it with the Caran d'Ache pencils. Now over here, I colored with different pencils. Faber-Castell Polychromos. Again, I don't have that many colors, so I was just using what I had. I like both of the pages, but I like one of these color pencils a little bit better than the other. And I know it doesn't like go together and the colors look kind of cray-cray, but it's all good. I liked coloring this page. It was just a lot to do. I think that is it for this book. Yeah. Those are all the pages that I colored from A Million Kawaii Cuties, illustrated by Lulu Mayo. Up next, I have a few pages from Lost and Found, coloring book by R.J. Hampson. The first page that I have is the first page that you see when you open the book. And I used colored pencils, of course. I used Prismacolors, and I also used Sharpies, and I used my blender pencils. So I have some blending pencils that I use to kind of make things look more burnished and smooth. So this is one of the pages, the first page actually. I would say more like the title page or opening or intro page. So this is one. I think this is a buddy color as well, but we haven't shared this. We both colored this page. And the next page that I have is this one. This is a page that Faith and I colored together. Actually, I like her page better than I like my own. But I did the best I could. The more I color, the better it seems that I get with putting colors together and making things look realistic. So practice makes progress. And I use Castle Arts gold pencils. I actually like this, but I'm glad there is a second page in here so I can experiment with using different color combinations. And then there is the bottom here. What I like about R.J. Hampson's pictures or illustrations in here is that beside the illustration, he has a name for this particular illustration, and it is The Key to My Heart. I didn't even color that, but I think I'd rather leave it uncolored. But that's what this page is, The Key to My Heart. So that's the first page, and it is a buddy color. And then the second page that I have in here is this page. I love this illustration. And again, I'm glad that there is another picture in here because, yeah, I want to color it differently. It says Land of Lost Socks. So I guess the dog is like, where the socks at? Are they like out there somewhere? This is a buddy color that Faith, Elizabeth, and I did. I mainly use markers on this one. And I used Sharpies, Tombos, and Stabilos. So I used 3 different markers. And I believe that's all I colored in this book from Lost and Found by R.J. Hampson. The next one that I have, this is a new book that I bought. So again, I will be doing a coloring book haul, sharing with you all of the coloring books that I bought in September. But this was one that I bought and I don't know what I was thinking because this thing is so miniature, okay? But I like it. It's called Miniature Enchanted Forest. This is by Johanna Basford. The first little page that I have in here is, I started here, but I stopped. So I didn't even finish this. This is a lot of stuff. And you know what? I'm going to bring you in just a little bit more. I'm going to drop you down some because this book is so tiny. When she said miniature, it is miniature. I need some reading glasses to see. But I started working on this with fine liners or pencils. I think this was, yeah, fine liners because I'm looking at the back of the paper here and I can tell that. But I did color a few things from here and I want to share that with you. The first thing that I have in here is this one. This is tiny, 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 tiny. I had to bring you in so you can see it. With this page, I think I was coloring with Staedtler color pencils, and I think I was using the The Ergo Soft. The Ergo Soft. Brilliant, I think. So this is the first page that I colored in the miniature, and then I have another page that I colored, and I did not write anything down because I just was coloring, But still, I think this is Stapler, the Ergo Soft, I believe. But I'm going to zoom out and you can see how small that is. See that? But I'm going to zoom back in because I have another page to show you. I don't know about you, but do you remember things that you're doing while you're coloring the photo? Let me tell you what I was listening to or watching while I was coloring this photo. I was listening to Kirk Franklin's story about how he discovered his birth father. And y'all know I was boo-hooing. My little eyes were watery, but I was still coloring. So I remember what I was doing when I was coloring this. I was listening to Kirk Franklin's story. If you've seen it, let me know in the comment section. The last thing that I have is this one. And I also think that I was still listening to Kirk Franklin when I was coloring this. So I used Staedtler colored pencils again for this one as well. I think that is it for this book by Johanna Basford, Miniature Enchanted Forest. Up next, I have some pages that I colored from Johanna Basford's World of Flowers coloring book. Here's something that I don't think I've told anyone, maybe one person. I'm afraid to color in Johanna Basford's coloring books. Although I have quite a few of her books, I've been afraid to color in them because I feel like I just don't want to mess up anything. I finally faced my fears and decided to start coloring. And do you know what? Once I started coloring in her books, I really did not want to stop. I wanted to keep going. This is the first page I ever colored. This is the This Book Belongs To page, and I used Stabilo .88, I believe. I don't really remember, but I did use fine liners, and I think it turned out so pretty. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, this is the first page. So here's my other page here. And this is the page that I felt like, oh, I'm getting it. I really like this. I like her books. But I colored all of this right here. I think I switched up, but I colored most of this with Prismacolors up here. Then I reached for some other colored pencils, Castle Arts. So Castle Arts is down here, mostly here, starting here. And the rest of these up here, I believe, is Prismacolors. I think I switched over because I didn't like how I was making stuff look with the Prismacolors. But as I go along, I'm starting to really, really like Prismacolor color pencils. They serve a purpose, and I do like them. I'm starting to fall in love with them more and more every time I use them. But yeah, this is the, I guess, succulents page. I think it turned out pretty good. The next page that I have, and I know, don't laugh at me, don't laugh at me. I don't know what I was doing, but I was trying to be creative, okay? Don't you laugh. You're probably like, what in the world were you doing, Evelyn? This is what I colored, but I didn't start out doing all this around here, and I'll give you a little backstory on what you see around here. I colored this page initially inside of here using Stabilo .88, and also I used the Stabilo Pen 68. Then I got a bright idea. I said, there's nothing over here, but I want something to be over here. So I got my stencils and I did a couple of birds. I know it looked cray-cray, but there's a method to my madness. I said, I am going to put some birds over here and I'm going to put some leaves. So I used some stencils. And I'm going to bring you in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. You see? You see the birds? The butterflies are already in the picture here. And then you see the leaves. I did that. And I did a little circle around here. As far as what you see around the border of the picture, this is when I was experimenting, trying to figure out, do I like Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils or do I like polychromos? But overall, I enjoy coloring this picture. I know it looks kind of cray-cray. It's not all that color coordinated, but you know, sometimes I just think outside the box and I just do and color as I will. You never can be right or wrong with coloring. We're just having fun, right? I'm glad I got another book because I can go in there and really color it the way I envision it. But I was just doing something because, again, this is the first book of Johanna Basford that I actually colored in, and I was intimidated. I was scared, but now I can't get enough of coloring in her books. So those are the pages that I colored in Johanna Basford's World of Flowers coloring book. Up next, I have some pages from Stained Glass Countryside Scenes, illustrated by Sachin Sachdeva. This is a color by number book. Now, here's the deal with this book. You will see quite a few pages colored in this book. My plan is to do a flip through as well as color a page for you in this book. And that will be coming up in the next video after this completed pages video. So stay tuned for that. Here are all the pages that I've colored thus far. This is the This Book Belongs To page, and I used my Caran d'Ache Pablo colored pencils, and I also colored this little portion here as well. This picture here is not colored by number. I just colored it based on the colors I wanted to select. The first page that I have colored in this color by number book is this one. I use Staedtler's Ergosoft colored pencils. I love those colored pencils. The only thing that I had an issue with when it comes to the Ergosoft pencils, I really had to press down and use a lot of pressure. At first, I didn't use a lot of pressure, but then when I took a look at the picture, I said something is missing. So I decided to go back over my colors, and I had to like really burnish, as they say, give it a lot of pressure so that the colors could come through. But also, I think that the paper plays a role in how my colored pencils appear in this book. So keep that in mind. One of the things that I did, which I thought was pretty cool, I put some streaks in here. And all I did was I took an eraser and I just erased certain portions, which made it seem like the sunshine was over here. A lot of fun coloring this page. The next page that I have is this one. This is a page that I used alcohol markers for. And you will see mostly in this book that I am using alcohol markers. These are Mondo Llama alcohol markers. And y'all, I keep saying y'all, I'm a country girl. I really like the Mondo Llama alcohol markers. I bought them from Target. I'm going to be doing a video about those in the future. But this is the page here. I think it turned out very nice. So that is it here. Very cute. The pig and her little piglets. Then I have another page in here. Now, this is when I realized that the alcohol markers, the cheap alcohol markers that I bought from Amazon, they're not it. I was so upset with those markers, I almost threw them in the trash. But I just let my daughter have them so she can play around with them. But this is the page that I colored with my Weeblo or whatever it's called, alcohol markers. I have 80 of them. But this is when I realized that it was time for me to buy me a higher quality alcohol marker. And that's when the artist loft came into play. But overall, this turned out pretty good, but I could tell that I was not feeling those markers when I was coloring this page. But overall, this turned out pretty good. But it is the page that I decided that I would not use the markers that I have from Amazon because they are not it. I did not like them at all. I could definitely tell a big difference in these markers versus the Mondo Llama markers. The next page that I have is another alcohol marker page. And this one I use my Mondo Llama alcohol markers, and I just love the way they apply. My picture looks so smooth, and I don't know, it's just something about those markers that I really, really like. And I am so glad that I bought those markers. And then I decided that I would try to use some colored pencils. Now, this didn't turn out too good because I used my Prismacolors, I believe. And I guess for me, if the paper is not good, I'm not going to bear down with my Prismacolors because I don't want to use them up like that on this type of paper. So that is why it kind of look a little cray-cray. But I did spray this page with my fixative. And I forgot to mention, but I also sprayed the page with fixative here. But yeah, I figured if I spray the page, it would look a little bit better. But it's okay. I use Prismacolors. Some of you might think, well, girl, you didn't use no Prismacolors. That look cray-cray. Well, I did use Prismacolors, but I did not bear down too hard. I didn't want to go in there and just burnish and use all of my Prismacolor pencils on this paper. That's just how I think. I think I'm becoming a paper snob. Now, this one is when I realized that I don't want to put my Stabilo markers or the Pen 68 through anything on this paper because the little felt part of it messes up when I use it on this type of paper. So no more. But you can see that I have streaks going on with those markers, and that's okay. That's okay. But what I realized is that I will not be using my Stabilo markers on this type of paper. But I enjoy coloring this. It looks pretty good, actually. Looks pretty good. Color is vibrant, but it kind of tore up my little markers. And Stabilos are not cheap. They're on the high end. So I don't use my good stuff on cheap paper because especially the markers, and if they are water-based, I'm not messing up my felt part for the paper. This turned out pretty good. I just want to let you know that. Now the next page that I have in here, this page, and I used my Mondo Llama markers. I just love the Mondo Llamas. I was getting my life with those markers. This turned out pretty good. I messed up a little bit, but overall, I like the results that I got from this one. And the alcohol markers, they apply so good, especially if they're good markers. It's just going to be smooth. You're not going to see any streaks or anything like that. And that's what I have here. This is the last one. I use Caran d'Ache Pablo. And again, like I said with my Prismacolors, this looked kind of cray-cray because I didn't really burnish. I said I'm not going to be pressing down on this paper because just a little pressure that I did give, it really did not give what I wanted it to give because of the paper. I did not go back over it. I didn't feel the need to, but I did go in and I sprayed this page with my fixative to kind of fill in what was looking cray-cray, and I think it turned out okay. And I think those are all the pages that I have done in this book. I will be doing a flip through and a color along. So if you do have this book, we can color along in the video. This is the Stained Glass Countryside Scenes, Color by Number by Sachin Sachdeva. This is Mandalas for Meditative Coloring, a mindfulness coloring book for inner peace. It is by Inner Inking, also run by Madeline Rabel. This is the first thing that I colored in this book, and it is this little beauty here. I used Stabilos pen 68 to color this. Moving right along to the next page. This is the first one that I ever colored in this book. I colored this one using Stabilos. But as you will see, as I move further along in this book, I stopped using Stabilos. And I'll tell you why when I get to other pages. The second page here, I used Stabilo pen 68. I like how this turned out. But as I started to color more and more, I started to realize that I really don't want to use my Stabilo markers because this paper is putting my Stabilo nibs to the test. When I use Stabilos, I like to use it on higher quality paper. It's not saying anything bad about the artist or illustrator, but if I like these going forward, I'll just print them out on better paper so that I can use my better markers and better medium that I have. And then I used Stabilo here again, and I did browns, different shades of browns that I have in my collection. And I caught myself trying to draw some little things there, but I really wasn't trying to be exact. I was just, doing my thing. As you can see some streaks in here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see. There are streaks in here. And me personally, I don't like to have a streaky picture that I've colored. And usually I get streaks when I am using water-based markers. After this page, I no longer use my Stabilos, I think. Don't quote me on that. So the next page that I have is alcohol markers. This one here. And as you can see, with this one, there are no streaks. And the alcohol markers, they just flow so well on this type of paper. Now, of course, they bleed through, but you have to have heavier paper behind it so that it doesn't go through onto the other illustration. So my medium of choice when coloring these mandalas from this book is alcohol markers. And so I really enjoyed this one. More alcohol markers, very nice, and the application of the ink is so smooth, no streaks at all. And even when I use alcohol markers on this type of paper, it just takes to the paper so well. And that's why I like to use alcohol markers on this type of paper or colored pencils. But sometimes I don't be wanting to use colored pencils because it takes entirely too long. Next one is Sharpies. Now I also use Sharpies, and Sharpies are alcohol markers. And when I use Sharpies, everything is just so smooth and even, just like it is with my alcohol markers. Again, some Sharpies. Everything is just so smooth and cute. More Sharpies. More Sharpies. This is more like a fall little creation here. I left a lot of white space because I didn't want to put too much of one color anywhere. I wanted to kind of be balanced. More Sharpies. Alcohol markers. I believe that I use Mondo Llamas for this one. I love the way Mondo Llamas apply to the paper. Whatever it is that I'm coloring, it always does a very good job. More alcohol markers. Now the alcohol markers that I used here, I believe, are the ones from Amazon that I have that I do not like. But I made it through. Here, I decided that I would use my Staedtler markers for this one. And again, with this type of paper, I have to be careful. It was okay using my Staedtler markers. I think it is the watercolor brush, I believe. Also, I use Staedtler again. And with the water-based markers, I'm always getting some type of streaking. You can't really tell the streaks here, but I can see them. I know where they are. And this one, I see the streaks. But overall, I think it still turned out very well with those markers. This one is alcohol markers. I think that's pretty cool. I like that one. More alcohol markers. I messed up right there, but I'm good. And also, I think that's it. So those are all the pages that I've colored in this book by Madeline Rabiel. This is the Mandalas from Meditative Coloring, a mindfulness coloring book for inner peace. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Drop them down in the comments section below, and I'll be down in the comments to engage with you. Until next time, keep coloring. Bye.